Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to Nindie Nation episode 89. I'm Jeff, and Nindie Nation is your one-stop weekly shop for everything independently developed for the Nintendo Switch. If it's your first time here, welcome. This week, we're taking a look at every new indie game releasing on the Switch from November 1st through the 7th. And when we're done there, we'll head over to the eShop and pick out the best deals of the week so that you can find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced. New episodes post on Tuesdays to podcast feeds and the Nindie Nation YouTube channel, and we're brought to you in part by our friends at the Nintendo Village. We have weekly streams every Thursday night at 10 called Nindies at Night. And don't forget about the Nindie Nation Friday afternoon special, where we dig up a couple of great deals to help you kick off the weekend. We're always chatting in the YouTube comments, and I hope you'll join us. If not, you can always find us on Twitter at Nindie Nation, and stick around at the end because I've got a couple of games to give away. With the promotions and the teasing out of the way, let's do this thing, citizens. This week we've got an absolutely ridiculous list of neglected Nindies, which is even weirder considering last week we covered one extra day in the new releases. I guess a bunch of publishers were asleep at the wheel, and it's time to find out who, because just as we do every week, we're kicking off episode 89 by taking a look at the 16 neglected Nindies that released since episode 88. We kick off this monster week with War Titans by SC Ovalex Soft for $14.99. The game itself does sound pretty sweet, but there's a very limited amount of info out there. It's like a cross between arena combat and open world racing combat? You'll switch between mechs and Mad Max style vehicles as needed and try to rack up the highest destruction combo possible. I want to know more about this one. It looks fun. Strife Veteran Edition is the Switch port of a mid-90s first-person RPG that I think was built on the Heretic or Hexen engine, digging deep into my trove of 90s PC game knowledge here. As such, what you get is a game that looks like a PC game from the mid-90s, it plays like a shooter, and it contains some RPG elements. It's developed by the excellent porting house Nite Studios, who really know their stuff. And at $7.49, there's a limited audience for this one, but I bet if you fall in that camp, you'll really enjoy Strife. Cthulhu Saves Christmas is one of the weirdest recommendations I'll ever give. This title, developed by Zeboyd Games, who is responsible for one of my all-time favorite RPGs, Cosmic Star Heroine, basically takes the engine from Cosmic Star Heroine and makes a JRPG about an otherworldly Cthulhu saving Christmas in kind of a JRPG version of The Grinch? It's weird, it's hilarious. I played a bit of it last year and decided to wait for the Switch port, so I've bought it, and I think this might be a really fun game to play through on stream, so stay tuned for more on that. If you like this 32-bit era RPG style and you're in the mood for a Christmas comedy, then by all means, this is a great way to spend $10. Vikong released their first Nindie on the eShop last week called Chicken Madness for $14.99, and it is yet another
zany multiplayer party game, but this time you're a chicken!
I just can't even with all of these, but hey, there's a demo for this one, so at least you can check it out for yourself. Ultimate Games released Detective Puzz, which is an isometric, turn-based puzzle game that launched for $4.79, and we'll be seeing Ultimate Games quite a bit during this segment this week. East to West Games has built a business off of porting mobile games to the Switch, and their recent work includes The Escapists 2 and Kingdom Rush. And this week, they focus their efforts to the Switch as they release their side-scrolling hack-and-slash RPG, Wonder Blade, for $14.99. This game has a great, friendly art style and looks to lean heavily into gratifying combat that makes all those little progression bars fill up as you feel that hit of dopamine. Alexei Suslin partnered up with Ultimate Games to port one of his many mobile games to the Switch, and this one is a 2D fighter platformer called Boss Rush Mythology. It's $7, which is way too much, and it just doesn't look good at all. Alexi, it's awesome that you're making games, and I hope you found success with them. I think, though, that if you can find someone else to handle the artwork, I think it'd make a huge difference in your games. Just a thought. Next up are a bunch of weird words, as a publisher called Trues worked with a developer Linktown to port Demon Hunter, that's demon with a G at the end, to the Switch for $7.99. It's a top-down hack-and-slash RPG that looks like mindless fun on the surface, but overall it's pretty bland, and there's a few things here that make me think this game might have had a previous life as a free-to-play mobile game. Bananas Treasure Island is the new $10 side-scrolling platformer from Max Interactive Studio, and their previous work includes nothing I would have recommended. If, and that's a big if, this game turns out feeling great, it could be fun. I like how fast it moves, and you seem to have a lot of ways to move about the stages. But even based on seeing some frustrating control issues in their own trailer, I'm guessing it misses the mark. Uplay Online ports their PC title Esports Life Tycoon for $11.99. Do I need to explain this one anymore? It looks like The Sims, but with a lot more neon lights, poorly pitched brand deals, and MOBAs. Artifex Mundi put out a new point-and-click adventure that ditches their usual high fantasy theme for something much more sci-fi, with Family Mysteries 2 Echoes of Tomorrow for $8.99. I'm assuming that one will be a slam dunk for the Family Mysteries group out there. Does anyone ever play these Artifex Mundi games? I have no direct experience. It's not something that I would typically be interested in, but they look pretty decent. I'd be curious to know if they're any good or not, so if you do know, let me know. You know? Pixel Puzzle Makeout League, and I don't have to say another word before you know if this one is for you, do I? It's the first release by a new indie studio out of Boston named Rude Ghost Games, and it's $15. The core puzzle game is something like Picross, and it looks like a charming, funny game about puzzles and dating superheroes. Yeah, the quirkiness and overall tone of this game is really endearing. I like it. Axes! Sounds neat. It's a battle royale, so unfortunately that probably means it'll never take off on the Switch, but it has a top-down hack-and-slash gameplay loop that is based around a medieval fantasy, I think. It's only $5, and it's from Azure Games. Wait, who are they? Let's see here. They are... Whoa. Wow. Really? So they have a lot of games on mobile, and every single one of them is borderline IP infringement of you name it. Call of Duty, Fortnite, PUBG. Wow. This is like the definition of mobile shovelware. This team is so much the essence of mobile shovelware. I mean, okay, maybe it's a decent job. Maybe it's a good place to get your feet wet in the industry. Not everyone's going to go get their first job at Square Enix or Nintendo or whatever, and I get that. I don't know if that applies to Azure Games, but I do know that this game is not deserving of your money. I feel like I need a shower now after that one. There's a couple more spooky games that dropped last week. Eyes, the horror game, or is it the horror game, is a first-person run-from-the-monster game with PlayStation 1 era graphics and dynamically changing levels. It comes by way of Fearless and Cubic Games and launched for $2.49. Poltergeist Crusader is a very similar concept, except this time you are hunting said apparitions with a samurai sword. This one is from the Liebert Brothers and Ultimate Games for $4.79, and I would not recommend either of those games. And the last of the neglected Nindies this week is a tough one to decipher. The Night of Queen
I see a little silhouette of a man.
Is a low-poly first-person RPG that is supposed to act as if you're playing in VR? Who develops this? Let's see. Oh, VR RPG develops this. That's the studio name, huh? Let's take a look at the publisher. Oh, that one's also VR RPG. So this non-VR VR RPG is a pseudo-parody of a VR RPG, developed by VR RPG and published by VR RPG, but it looks like, I don't even know. I guess it looks like a VR RPG, and it is $5. I'm definitely feeling Cthulhu Saves Christmas. Well, I already bought it, so I was feeling it. I'm still feeling it, don't get me wrong there. And Wonderblade looks good too. What about you? Let me know in the comments or on Twitter at Nindie Nation. Lots of Nindies got left behind last week, most for good measure, but now it's time to check out the new releases. So here are the 21 new releases hitting the eShop from November 1st through the 7th. It seems Magic Pockets and Microids are taming the entire universe for you, one profession at a time, because My Universe School Teacher launches on November 3rd for $29.99. It's like The Sims or any of those other games, but way watered down and full of minigames. Orange Pixel continues to port a slew of indies to the Switch, when Gunslugs also releases on the 3rd, this one for $7.99. It's a simple, pixelated run-and-gun platformer that looks similar to Broforce, and with the consistent quality we've seen from Orange Pixel lately, it's probably safe to assume that this is a decent case of what you see is what you get. Toranos is a top-down, slower-paced dungeon crawler where you are trapped inside an ancient labyrinth with limited resources and a fading light and have to find your way back to the center. It's developed by 16-bit Nites and is another title from Restless Corp and wraps up November 3rd for $6.99. And on November 5th, we're already at the big Thursday drop with Pick Me Up, Rescue Rangers. Wait, is that the song? Oh, so this one isn't about Disney's Chipmunk duo? No? Okay. Pick Me Up, Rescue Rangers is a $10 title from
R-Force Entertainment.
And it just may have the worst trailer I've ever seen. I think it's a top-down driver game. Think like the original GTA titles, and you drive around, pick people up, and drive them somewhere else. Kinda like a top-down Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
Not now, Offspring. Like a top-down taxi. Just not crazy. What the f***? No, I don't need you, censor bleep. What I said was, what the f***? No, really, it's not what you think it is. What the Fork is the latest Switch entry from Munich-based Bit Too Good Games, and it's a
Zany multiplayer party game with a gimmick.
And in What the Fork, the gimmick is that you drive a forklift, but is otherwise the same game as all of the others in this genre and will set you back $17.99. It's been a while since we've seen Kairosoft, but they're back again this week with a $14 time-wasting simulator where you waste time managing a farm in 8-bit. Next up, we've got YesterMorrow. Oh, okay. Classic retro art style. Action platforming as a ninja. Ooh, parallel worlds to manage. Yeah. YesterMorrow looks cool. It's from Blowfish Studios, who has released Whipsy, Infinite Beyond the Void, and a couple of other games that really straddle that line between okay and good, but this one looks pretty fun. It's $15 though, so probably a good one to throw on the wish list. This one feels like a $7 game. Do I have to cover this one? I've never heard of Triva, but it's developed by Independent Arts Software, so I guess it's kind of in the name that I have to tell you about My Riding Stables 2: A New Adventure. What is my life? I mean, what is there to say though? It's a dumb horse game about dumb kids who ride dumb horses, and it costs $30 because the only people dumb enough to buy this are probably dumb kids who love dumb horses and their dumb parents didn't lock down their dumb credit cards on their dumb Switch. It's dumb. My Little Dog Adventure has probably the most epic trailer music I've ever heard. This is a first-person dog game where you run around and find stuff on your way back home. It's short, and half the time the perspective is way too high to be a dog. It's made by Epixer, and I think you can probably find a much better way to spend $6.99. The team at Dead Drop Studios are back again this week with another entry in their Outbreak series, with this week's release being Outbreak: The Nightmare Chronicles, because just calling it old-style Resident Evil would be considered IP infringement. Remember when we used to get so many Resident Evil clones? I loved Blue Stinger on the Dreamcast. It was just so bad. I'm willing to bet Outbreak: The Nightmare Chronicles falls somewhere between Blue Stinger and Resident Evil 3. And if you want to find out exactly where it falls on that scale, you can pick it up for $11. Game designer Louis Regard has built a really cool-looking, graphically minimalist RPG adventure with Iris and the Giant, and it's published by Plug-in Digital for $14.99. It uses a deck-building card battle system and features procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements. Keep an eye out for this one. Get it? Eye out, Iris. It's an iPun. And no, iPun is not an Apple product. And it's in all capital letters with an exclamation point, so that means we have to say, tens! The Ultimate Dice Puzzle is a chill, relaxing puzzle game that actually looks different than the other dozens of similar games we cover. It's got colorful artwork, a story mode, 2-player options, character customization. It doesn't look half bad. It's developed by Quali and releases on November 5th for $9.99. Netmarble Corporation apparently has a mobile RPG with over 60 million downloads, and they've brought that game to the Switch called 7 Nights Time Wanderer for $15.99. Always hard to tell with these. It definitely looks like a higher quality mobile RPG, but with 60 million downloads, I'm guessing it's free to play on mobile, and that makes me nervous for how the game translates to console. Otherwise, it has all of the makings for a solid turn-based fantasy RPG. Maybe try this one out on mobile first to see if you want to consider it for the Switch. And the last game for this week's Big Thursday drop is Fantasy Tavern Sextet Volume 1 New World Days. The team at Query8 says,
A young cook working behind the scenes at an Akihabara maid cafe is reincarnated in another world?
It's got a bunch of barmaids that are half cat and just so much anime cleavage. So much. Just everywhere. I'm guessing there's a story. It's $8, so not too bad in the grand scheme of Query8 releases. Steel yourself, citizens, because
You'll laugh. You'll cry. Set against the backdrop of a fantasy world's tavern, this slightly naughty slapstick love harem drama is about to begin.
On Friday, November 6th, we've got 7 titles dropping, but don't worry, this won't take long. Chess Minimal is named as such because Hook Games wants to see how many people will spend $2 on a chess game made with minimal effort. But Baltoro Games can't be outdone in the shoddy effort category, so they also release World of Solitaire, and its cards have shadows, so you can tell they put in work. Those shadows will cost you though, because Baltoro expects you to pay $15 for Solitaire. That's right, $15 for Solitaire.
Because at Baltoro Games, we say, F you and your money.
Red Rope Plus is a neat little spooky game for 2 players where you run around a bunch of horror-themed levels with a red rope connecting the 2 players. The goal is to wrap the rope around enemies and other items to help you solve the puzzles, and it hits the Switch by way of Belka for $12.99. It's pretty cool. And things get spooky real fast for a group of college kids on a post-graduation vacation in Return One-Way Trip. This side-scrolling adventure game has a heavy emphasis on puzzle solving and spooky vibes. It's published by GMG Publishing and will set you back $11.99. Descenders is a downhill mountain bike racing game by Rage Squid and No More Robots. It's got some decent graphics, not quite $23 decent, but here's the thing. You can upgrade your bike, you make it as far down the mountain as possible before retrying, and the levels are built anew with every run. That's right, citizens. In what might be a Nindie Nation genre first, we've got a downhill mountain biking game with procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements. It's exciting. If you want your downhill biking to be decidedly more low polygon, and you favor Tony Hawk-style quick level challenges to the roguelike formula of Descenders, then the team at Yeah Us releases Trail Boss BMX on the 6th for $19.99. I think I like the style and format of this one more, but for $3 more, I think Descenders looks like the better pick. And finally for the week, Memoranda is a stylish point-and-click adventure with an intriguing premise where the main character seems to be forgetting more and more, or maybe the world around her is forgetting her. It's inspired by the stories of Haruki Murakami, includes thousands of lines of spoken dialogue, is developed by Bitbiters, published by Carbon Fire Studio, and releases for $14.99. What do you think for this week, citizens? Seems like a bit of slim pickings for the week, but I know my wallet could use a break. I like Gunslugs, Taurenos, and YesterMorrow, but I think my pick of the week is still Cthulhu Saves Christmas. Let me know what jumps out to you in the comments or on Twitter at Nindie Nation. Before we go this week, especially if you still have a wallet full of digital dollars, let's go take a look at the deals. Because with a cool 400 even deals currently available, there's certainly something for everyone, and these are our picks for the 10 best deals available through at least November 7th. First up is probably worth mentioning because they're only available until November 5th, but Supergiant has all of their Switch releases on sale with the likely candidate for 2020 Game of the Year, Hades, on sale for 20% off for $19.99. Pick it up if you haven't yet, but they've also got Bastion and Transistor on sale, 80% off each for $2.99 and $3.99 respectively. Bastion tells a fantasy-themed story about a kid restoring the world, and Transistor tells a much more sci-fi story about a woman trying to stop the end of the world. All three games are phenomenal, and I bet if you've played one, you will love all three. Axiom Verge is probably the best Metroid-style game on the Switch. At the very least, it sits among the best, like Hollow Knight or SteamWorld Dig 2, and is currently half off for $9.99. Hot Shot Racing is a wonderful game for anyone nostalgic for the old Sega arcade racers like Virtua Racing or Daytona USA, with a bit of Ridge Racer drifting thrown in. I've been playing a bunch of this recently, and it doesn't change the world, but it's really fun, only a month old, and already discounted by 33% for just $13.99. Steridin Binary Stars is one of my favorite entries in the roguelike space shooter category. It looks great, plays great, offers a solid challenge that will keep you coming back, and includes a ton of modes so you don't get burnt out when you run into a tough boss. At 60% off, $5.19 is a great price for a high-quality shmup that's loaded with fun stuff to do. Another title from the same developer, Flying Oak Games, who just released the excellent Scourgebringer, is their take on the traditional twin-stick roguelike shooter. Neurovoider doesn't do anything fancy to really set itself apart, but it does the typical twin-stick formula better than most others in the genre. Neurovoider is 60% off, which makes this a twin-stick shooter for $5.59 that includes procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements. If you're feeling nostalgic for the, well, entirety of video games, and especially if you've ever played rhythm games like Elite Beat Agents, it's hard to go wrong with Old School Musical, which is probably where most of this episode's music is going to come from. The music is excellent, and along with the visuals, basically it takes you on a historical journey through all of video games, with constant references filled throughout each and every song. Old School Musical is half off and an excellent pick for $6.49. It's been tough recommending couch co-op games this year, what with the limited ability to actually get together with people, but Moving Out is getting its first big sale, and I'd be remiss to exclude it. Take the silly multiplayer physics game, turn it into a premise of packing and moving, where you cause as little damage as possible in some truly hilarious situations, and you've got moving out. And it's just a blast to play with friends. It's not too bad solo either, so with a 40% discount, $15 makes this a great title that will lift your spirits and get everyone in the room laughing, whether it's you by yourself or with up to 4 players. Do you like Peggle? Of course you do. Who doesn't like Peggle? You? Hey, you? Do you not like Peggle? If you don't like Peggle, we need to have a talk. Don't you make me use my disappointed dad voice. You need to like Peggle. Everybody needs to like Peggle. What if we took Peggle, threw in a bunch of humor, and then structured it around procedurally generated levels with roguelike mechanics?
Oh, hell no.
And RPG elements! Sounds good, huh? It is. And that game is called RoundGuard, and RoundGuard is currently 45% off for just $10.99. It's Nindie Trifecta Peggle. What more could you want? Let's see, we've got some puzzles, we've got some multiplayer, racing, shooters, a rhythm game. I think we need an arcade brawler and a puzzle adventure in order to truly round things out for the week. Wolverblade is one of the better modern beat-em-ups out there. Think of it more like a new Golden Axe than a new Streets of Rage. It's very, very bloody, with the violence turned up to a comical degree. But if you're cool with that, Wolverblade is 90% off for just $1.99 and should be considered a great impulse buy. And finally, we've got a game that is part puzzle, part adventure, part Metroidvania, and above all else, a pinball game? Yup. Roku's Island Express was actually one of the first games that we ever covered on Nindie Nation, and this week it is 75% off for $4.99. This is a super unique game that I thought got bogged down by some slow traversal, but I've heard a lot of that has since been patched. Even though I ultimately got bored with this pinball adventure, what I played I really enjoyed, and I sunk at least a few hours into it, which I think makes it worth it for $5. And hey, maybe they patched out what turned me off from it, and you'll like it even more. And that's it for this week. Let me know what you're picking up, be it a deal, a new release, or a neglected Nindie, and chat with us in the YouTube comments or on Twitter at Nindie Nation. Last week, during the Nindie Nation Friday afternoon special, I promised a few codes for a copy of Deleveled, and the Quantum Astrophysicists Guild came back to provide a few, so we've got 3 North American codes and 1 for the EU. The following people were the winners, and I suggest reaching out to me on Twitter to claim your prize. If you don't have Twitter, comment in the video and we'll figure something out. Varelian at Obaloo5 wins the EU code, and on the North American side, we've got Paco Barba, congratulations. Alintho Dantus, hope you can enjoy this one with your wife after finishing up Death Squared and laughing at how I probably butchered your name. Jaime Barba wins another one of the codes and is a frequent during Nindies at Night. Congrats, Jaime. Thanks for stopping by, everybody, and thanks for participating. If you're wondering how I picked these just for transparency's sake, I just counted up all of the comments in the video and then I told Google to pick a random number 4 times. So there. Super scientific. All 4 of you, please message me if I forget to reach out, and if all else fails, you can email me at thenameofthisShow@gmail.com. For more indie gaming goodness, check out our YouTube channel where every Friday we post a quick video highlighting a few great eShop deals for the weekend. And on Thursday we host Nindies at Night, a live stream where we get to chat in real time and check out some recently released indies or a classic that just went back on sale. I think I'm going to start giving out some more game codes during Nindies at Night, so keep stopping by. For everything else Nintendo related, head over to the Nintendo Village where they're churning out daily articles, reviews, videos, and other shows that you'll love. You can find everything they make all in one place at thenintendovillage.com. Next week is looking pretty light quantity-wise, but stellar when you consider the quality. A new game from Harmonix, an incredible unicorn grooming simulator, and at least 3 Nindie Trifectas. It's going to be a good one. But that's all for next week, citizens, and we're all done for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for participating, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. And until next week, I'm Jeff. This has been Nindie Nation episode 89. And whether you're looking for all of the Nindies on Tuesday, some time to hang and discuss indies on Thursday night, or a quick dose of deals on Friday, know that Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.